Russian authorities asked the Supreme Court to declare the LGBTQ movement extremist. True. I'm always saying this. I hear that young gay people are worshipping Osama bin Laden now. The Russian Justice Ministry on Friday said it has filed a lawsuit with the nation's Supreme Court to outlaw the LGBTQ plus, quote, international public movement as extremist. I didn't realize that the Russian government had jurisdiction over the international LGBTQ plus public movement. The latest crippling blow against the already beleaguered LGBTQ plus community in the increasingly conservative country. Authorities have identified, quote, signs and manifestations of extremist nature in, quote, the activities of the LGBT movement active in Russia, including incitement of social and religious discord. Russia's Supreme Court. Man, imagine going from the Soviet Union, a country that basically outlawed religion for a good chunk of time, to we need to charge the gay community with incitement of religious discord. Jesus Christ. Man, they are gonna get such a crackdown. To be fair, Stalin had a partnership with the Russian Orthodox Church, I think. Well, they still do, but, you know, it was never a consistent attitude. What's going to happen to tankies? Dude, they don't give a shit. People delusional enough to believe that Russia is like some proletarian vanguard today will only be like, well, that's unfortunate, but it doesn't change the fact that they're fighting against U.S. hegemony. Or the truly lost ones will say, well, they have no choice but to do this except to defeat Western cultural imperialism or whatever. You know, it's either it's unfortunate that they did it, but they're still good, or they had no choice but to do it. You know, whenever I hear about stuff like this, I'm always reminded of a girl that I had a class project with back when I was in community college. And it was back in 2014, so it was right after the annexation of Crimea. And she defended the shit out of Putin because it was like a common topic of conversation back then, because it was like big news for weeks and weeks and weeks. And me and a few other students who were in the group project were basically like, wow, Putin sure does suck, huh? And she like hardcore defended him. And apparently she was her family was Russian, and she was like mega hardcore giga trauma pilled from the shock doctrine after the end of the Cold War. So it was like, well, Putin has done bad things, but he was the only leader who could have brought our country back to greatness or whatever, like that shit. She had drank so much Kool-Aid. I wonder what she's doing now. Dude, in Finland, I had so many Russian classmates like that. Imagine being a Russian nationalist in Finland. What do you do? I feel like you're cruising for a bruising, man. You're gonna find like a vet or someone whose dad was a vet. Like what? Okay. A Russian coworker of mine was also super pro-Putin. He also had Russian family that settled in Crimea. You know, the Russians who settled in Crimea after the annexation, and especially the Russians who are moving now to like Mariupol or whatever, are basically like the West Bank settlers. Like, same basic thing. Like, it's not just that their country is doing colonization. They are holding their arm up and volunteering to be part of the front wave to replace the previous group that was there. It's like perfectly analogous, dude. It's kind of crazy. Finnish Bolshevik is a Russian nationalist? Really? Again, like, the Finnish Bolshevik, really? What? Why? Like, what are you? Are you like the equivalent of the Nazis in America who wish the Nazis had won? Like, Finnish Bolshevik, are you just like every day you wake up seething that the Soviet Union didn't conquer you? Like, what are you doing? Yes? Yeah, I guess so. In 2022, after sending troops into Ukraine, the Kremlin ramped up its rhetoric about protecting, quote, traditional values from what it called the West's degrading influence. Do we really want to have here in our country, in Russia, parent number 1, 2, and 3 instead of mom and dad, Putin said in September 2022? Nice. God. All conservative arguments are the same. I've said before, and I'll keep saying it, the modern-day fascist movement is the second truly globalist political movement. There was liberalism, and now there's fascism. Leftism has never been truly globalist. Even at the height of leftism's purported influence during the Cold War, there were constant disagreements and fighting and bickering. Like, Stalin tried to make it one movement, and he couldn't. There was still way too much, like, regional influence over the rhetoric and strategy and style of leftist movements, but the modern day fascist movement is literally identical the world around. Hindu nationalists in India are posting memes about Soros controlling the government. Russia praised J.K. Rowling for being anti-trans. It's all the same. Literally, like le wokism. You go to Mexico and it's el woco. You go to France, le wokism. If you go over to England, they go woke, eh? Oh wait, eh? No, that's Canadian. Okay. If you go to England, it's woke, innate. There we go. Blimey, woke. There you go. Yeah, I don't know. And this is largely because when conservatives rail about like a globalist class of like predatory international elites, they're projecting, because fascist rhetoric and power spread almost entirely through capital. There are direct financial relationships between basically every wing of fascism in every country on earth. Behind every fascist movement, there are wealthy investors and international businesses that promote their influence, because fascists and corporatists get along hand in hand and always have. Like it is genuinely like a globalist movement. The pretense towards like national isolation from a fascist, completely bullshit. Completely bullshit. Which is why fascists in America who pretend that they only care about America will constantly talk about, celebrate, or denounce the decisions other countries make. You ever seen a fascist in America basically see like, hell yes, Uganda, hell yes to saying you'll execute gay people, but then another country does something like positive, and they'll be like, like progressive, whatever, and they'll be like, disgusting, this country has fallen. But then they'll go on and say like, no, we only care about America. Let whites do their thing and let other countries do their thing. Like, there's no consistency at all. They'll pretend not to care about the rest of the world when it benefits them, but in reality, they are constantly forming connections to other countries' right-wing movements. Why is fascism able to be internationalist where leftists are so bad at it? Capital. That's simple. Business is international. If fascism and corporatism are innately linked, which they are, that goes hand in hand across borders super easily. Whereas leftist movements are almost always grassroots, which means that you are much more tied locally to your culture and the needs of your people, you know? Like, seriously, if you want, you could spend, like, days getting just a brief understanding of the active leftist movements, America and South. So America, Mexico, Central America, Latin America. You'd like, oh man, okay, so this country's history of leftists is tied to this idea, and this leader was blah, 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 and then this country has their own set of ideas, and it was like there was a split at this point in time because there were two guys who both had different ideas, and the one was this country, this was blah, blah, blah. And then like you could go, okay, time to learn about the history of fascist movements in all the same countries. Done. Because basically all of them in Latin and Central America, at least, are going to be some kind of like, either they're the remnants, the like Gusano remnants of like Portuguese or Spanish colonization that have used far right politics as a way of metastasizing their racial and class benefits over like the indigenous people there and the descendants of indigenous people, or wait, did I say Gustano? I don't think that's the right word. Is it mestizo? Castizo? What's the term for like the descendants of the white colonizers in Latin America? Mestizo is mixed? Okay, then it's Castellano? Castellano? Is that it? Spanish? Whatever. The descendants of the white colonizers. Or like a direct consequence of Western imperial intervention. Does everyone understand the point that I'm making here about fascism being a globalist movement?